Tangling with it with Mateus Nunez, and then Manchester City back with it with Rodri, who passes it forward. As I say, his first start since October the 5th when he got injured at Brentford, but only his 10th appearance in all for Manchester City this season, and it is timely as well, with Gonzalez picking up a problem. Ball stabbed forward into the penalty area by Reinders, but overhit, and it's through for Jorgensen, and it is Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. Izzy Christiansen.
Yeah, sharp, snappy play in the midfield there for Manchester City. They're just looking to find sort of tight central combinations to make their way into the Chelsea back line. Badiashile and Chalobah have to have their wits about them.
Ball swept forward down the right hand side for Palmer, but the flag quite rightly goes up because Palmer was a good 3 or 4 yards probably beyond the back line. So it is 0-0 here, and Manchester City getting things going again from the back already. I hope you were listening earlier. What a thrilling finish to the commentary at Craven Cottage, listening to Ian Dennis and Mark Schwarzer, with first Gakpo making it 2-1 to Liverpool, and then Harrison Reed scoring in the 7th minute of added time. So Gakpo in the 4th minute of added time, Harrison Reed in the 7th, and it finished Fulham 2, Liverpool 2. And Harrison Reed, I hope we hear from him later. I would have to doubt that he'll score a better goal than that in his entire career.
He's scored a lot of good goals, Harrison Reed, I must admit.
Here's a ball into the penalty area for Reinders, who chests it down and is forced to take it out into the full-back position. Then a ball into Shirky, who's appeared over on the left-hand side now. He gets it back. Shirky's attempted ball in, that's blocked, and then back towards Gvardiol. Manchester City knocking it around. There's Rodri. Rodri doing what Rodri does, just economical, quick pass to a teammate. Now it's with Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side. Mateus Nunez. Chelsea having to work here without the ball. Bernardo Silva drifting in. Then Phil Foden scoops one for Bernardo Silva, but it's watched behind by the stand-in left-back Gusto, and it is a goal kick to Chelsea. So yes, Fulham 2, Liverpool 2, Everton 2, Brentford 4. Newcastle winning 2-0 against Crystal Palace. It finished Tottenham 1, Sunderland 1, and in the lunchtime kick-off, Leeds 1, Manchester United 1. But it would appear everyone talking about those Ruben Amorim quotes. If you've just switched on, if you've just got back into your car, Ruben Amorim talking about how he's a manager, not a coach, and repeatedly underlining the fact that he's got 18 months left on his contract. So we will look out and try and find you those quotes, but it'll be a talking point for 606 later with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. That is certain. 0-0 here, with Shirky wriggling away forward of the centre circle. Then the challenge comes in from Reece James. Shirky goes down. I'm not sure how much contact there was there. Reece James turns and has the body language of an innocent, but Michael Oliver's given the free kick to Manchester City, and this is less than 25 yards out, just right of centre, is it?
Yeah, it's good position for City, but Cherki picking the ball up centrally, drifting away from Enzo Fernandez initially, and that was a foul. But then it was Reece James who covers his midfield partner and then causes the foul. In a good position here.
Just stepped into him, didn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't get the ball.
No, he didn't. Cherky on the ball, my word, his feet are like Velcro with the football. It just sticks. He moves with it so well.
He is a great new favourite of the Manchester City supporters, I know that much. This 22-year-old signed from Lyon. Do you know well, is he, from your time there?
I actually saw him play many a time for Lyon while I was over there, and I thought, what a talent.
Well, he must have been in his teens then.
He was.
Yeah. Free kick. Phil Foden standing to the right of the ball, and Shirky to the left. They just have a glance at one another. Foden might be the favourite. Let's see. The wall, 2 strides inside the penalty area. Shirky raises his arm. It is Shirky who clips it in, and it comes off the leg of Enzo Fernandez for Chelsea, which takes it beyond the far post and behind for a corner to Manchester City.
Yeah, it was Cherky that took it. Foden was over the ball as well, but they've just gone for a little dink, trying to find Diaz at the back post, and it's close. It really almost finds Diaz for a tap, and it would have been.
Shirky had to go and get the ball from the behind the photographers in front of the hoardings next to the Chelsea fans, and was just waving his arms in the air. I don't know whether something was said there, or whether he was just trying to whip up the Manchester City fans. We'll see. So Shirky to take it. Michael Oliver's just been sorting things out inside the penalty area. So right-footed corner from the left-hand side. Here it is, and it's headed away by Chalobah, who's able to get to that quite comfortably. Good distance on it. In fact, here is Cole Palmer, the former Manchester City youngster, plays it into the body of Foden, appealed for the handball and gets it from Michael Oliver. So a free kick to Chelsea, 5 yards inside their own half, and they've survived that little period of pressure.
Yeah, I was actually quite alarmed at Manchester City. Firstly, the delivery from Cherki wasn't great. The ball moves out for an attacking transition for Chelsea, and it was far too easy. Manchester City should have locked it up, kept it in Chelsea's half, but just seen Pep Guardiola turn around there with their set-piece coach, looking a little bit angry. I just wonder whether he wasn't happy with that whole routine in itself.
Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. Pep Guardiola standing there. His 1012th match as a manager with his various teams, against Callum McFarlane, who is on 1. The ball played out by Jorgensen. Gusto wins the header, comes down for James, but there is Bernardo Silva onto the ball this time for Manchester City, and they win it back. And Chelsea have been quite passive in the opening stages of this match, and it's back to the halfway line. Mateus Nunes just rolls his foot over the top of that yellow ball, gives it to Ruben Diaz. Manchester City know that they have to win this to get themselves back to within 4 points of Arsenal after their good win yesterday. Guardiola playing it infield towards Reinders. Now Rodri with a chance to carry the ball forward, left-footed pass out to the right-hand side. That's taken down by Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva flicks it back. Then Mateus Nunes, right-footed cross in towards the back post. There's nobody there in either colour of blue, and eventually Chelsea will be able to clear it away with Acheampong, who knocks it back into the box. Then there's a ball up to Joao Pedro, but Guardiola is quickly onto that to get possession back for Manchester City.
Yeah, it was well policed by Guardiola there. Chelsea are just looking to absorb a bit of pressure here. They're very comfortable being kind of quite calm, sort of reducing Manchester City to how many teams set up against City, which is a sort of a mid to deep block, denying spaces, making them work really hard to penetrate them, and then Chelsea are just looking to go forward nice and quick. Important Manchester City on their guard to stop that, like Guardiola did just there.
Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. We'll tell you at half-time when the lines are open for 6:06. It'll be around about 7:30 that Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton will be on the air, but as usual you can book your call, hashtag BBC 606. Certainly if you're a Manchester United supporter and you've heard those quotes from Ruben Amorim. The big scores in the Championship today: Coventry losing 3-2 at Birmingham, and Middlesbrough back on form, 4-0 win against Southampton. So it's a 6-point gap that Coventry have over Middlesbrough at the top of the Championship. Still Morocco 1, Tanzania 0 in that first match of the day at the Africa Cup of Nations. The hosts, South Africa, Cameroon tonight. And Manchester City with the ball in the centre circle. We'll round up everything for you at half-time. Obviously all of the top football up and down the country. Gusto wins the ball back. Still no Cucurella for Chelsea on the injured list. Now Enzo Fernandez as he comes forward. Gusto makes himself available, but in comes the tackle to put it out of play, with Mateus Nunes going to ground on this cold afternoon. Coldest afternoon of the season so far in England, I would say. Is he?
Yeah, it was freezing.
Yeah, real wintry feel coming to the Etihad today, with snow clouds rolling into the northwest of England.
সবসময় লাক সাথে নাই থাকতে পারে, তাই জীবনে ডাক শুনুন, সময় মতো ইন্স্যুরেন্স করুন।
Back and be patient, and just a very uncharacteristically loose pass from Cole Palmer. Foden intercepted. Really good at reading the play, Phil Foden, even when he's in those sort of defensive areas.
Talking about Rodri, a rare start for him this season. Similarly, really, with Palmer and Estevao in the side together. You know, there's real potential for excitement with those two on the pitch together. Cole Palmer, just his 11th appearance this season for Chelsea.
Yeah, I was interested to see who Callum McFarlane picked to play in these wide areas, because I think that's the area where you can get at Manchester City
Bernardo Silva pulls the ball down brilliantly on the right wing for Manchester City. Then in comes the pass from Mateus Nunes, but headed away on the edge of the box by Badiashile. Then Mateus Nunes wins a 50-50 with João Pedro, but Chelsea win it back. Enzo Fernandez, now it's João Pedro again. Pedro Neto in the middle, but decent challenge from Rodri does enough to make sure that the pass from João Pedro goes astray, and Manchester City have got it back, and Bernardo Silva wins a throw-in for Manchester City off João Pedro.
Just interested to see that Pedro Neto and Estevao get the nod in those wide areas, because I thought Sunderland, the damage they did to Manchester City in wide areas was a lot. And I think that Nunes, obviously not naturally a right back, but he's moving into the role quite well. But I just thought that's going to be a key area for Chelsea to get at Manchester City tonight, with the pace, with Estevao and Neto, and even Garnacho who's on the bench.
Yes, we don't really talk about Mateus Nunes really in that right back position anymore, because he's played there so frequently and he is now comfortable in that role. And I think that's classic Pep Guardiola, isn't it? From a period of time where you thought he's not a right back, whereas now you do.
You're spot on because of the amount of games he's played there, but the way I see it, I don't see many natural sort of assets to him playing there. I get it, he's doing a job for the team, but there's a few frailties I see with his game.
Manchester City lose possession, and so Enzo Fernandez plays it out to the left-hand side. Pedro Neto now is running at Mateus Nunes, takes him on, does get the crossover, hits Diaz, the shot from Estevao, that's blocked inside the penalty area, and then it bounces away out into the left-back area, the Manchester City left-back area. Estevao, so far, he scored just the one goal in the Premier League. Estevao, that exciting late winner against Liverpool at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea played again towards the edge of the Manchester City box, but it is dealt with and then cleared away. Long downfield from Mateus Nunes. What a pass that is. Reinders is onto this. Chelsea struggling to get back. Haaland through the middle. The pass comes all the way across to Foden. Takes it down brilliantly. Dancing, and shoots wide. Left foot. That would have been some goal, but Foden hit it wide. He's saying that it took a deflection. It should be a corner, but Michael Oliver says no, goal kick.
Oh my word, what a bit of play that was for Manchester City. Back to front in less than 3 seconds, I'd imagine, with that long ball by Mateus Nunes. Superb vision into the path of Foden from Reinders. Foden's first touch is exquisite. Sets himself, you think it's going to nestle into the back of the net, just goes wide.
Cracking move. Mateus Nunes with a long pass. Great vision actually to see the run of Reinders. Chelsea was struggling to deal with that. That would have been some goal if Foden had been able to bury it. There were defenders back by then trying to find a position, but in the end shot wide. Chelsea had the chance with Estevao at the other end before that.
Estevao and Neto combining, and that pass from Mateus Nunes from right back, it reminded me of something Trent Alexander-Arnold would do.
That is a great shout.
So maybe he is a right back.
Maybe he is. Maybe he is. Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. BBC Radio 5 live from the Etihad. No snow at the moment, but I suspect the flurry isn't too far away. What do you reckon the temperature is? I would say certainly -1. It's certainly minus, isn't it?
Definitely. It was -4 this morning, Manchester Central area.
Yeah.
Probably much colder in your neck of the woods, John.
Well, it certainly felt it. Ball comes back towards the halfway line with Gvardiol, who's being put under pressure by Palmer and is able to stand up to that and play it back to Diaz. There's some talent out there on the field, isn't there? You look at Palmer and Estevao over there. Bernardo Silva's on the ball now. Foden, Shirky, Reinders,
Rodri.
You must be talking into the billions, mustn't you? They must be worth over £1 billion, these players, if you've looked at their actual transfer value right now on the current market. Here's Diaz, he's not bad. Gvardiol, he lifts the pass over the top down the left-hand side. O'Reilly wins that header, then Cherki into the box. O'Reilly again, pulls it across the stretch away from Chalobah, rattling around inside the box. Fernandez is able to clear it away, comes out to the edge of the penalty area. Cherki is challenged there, and then it's cleared further away by Reece James. And then Estevao is stopped in his tracks by Gvardiol, who tackles it out of play for a throw-in to Chelsea. It's still 0-0 midway through the first half almost.
Yeah, that was an excellent bit of defending from Chalobah. the cutback was on Manchester City. Nico O'Reilly getting forward, looking for that cutback to Haaland, who was lurking. Chalobah read it really well, intercepted it and cleared the danger.
So 0-0 here at the Etihad. Morocco still winning 1-0 against Tanzania. It was another former Manchester City man, Brahim Diaz, Real Madrid, who scored that goal for Morocco. Comes back to the edge of the penalty area. It's passed forward by Gusto, then infield by Pedro Neto. Now Badiashile. Halfway inside his own half. City players all round him, up to Joao Pedro, but the referee's brought it back for late challenge on Badiashile after he passed the ball away. So a free kick to Chelsea, 10 yards inside their own box.
Yeah, I think Chelsea are very happy with just absorbing all the enthusiasm out of Manchester City's high pressure. It's Bernardo Silva just catching Badiashile late as he released the ball, an unnecessary challenge, and Chelsea just get the opportunity just to control the game a little bit more.
So 0-0 and Chelsea with this free kick. Mention the fact that Chelsea haven't beaten Manchester City since that famous day in Porto in the Champions League final, the All-English final, when Thomas Tuchel's team got the better of Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. The Kai Havertz goal. Reece James played in that match. Here he is, still playing for Chelsea. But since then, Manchester City have dominated affairs. Played 11, Manchester City have won 9, and they've drawn 2, and that's it. Ball played forward to Bernardo Silva on the edge of the penalty area, tried to bring it down, but Chelsea were able to clear. There was that excellent 4-4 draw between the sides back in 2023 at Stamford Bridge, as Joao Pedro wins a free kick centre field. Remember Cole Palmer's penalty deep into added time to make it 4-4,
yes,
which really forged his reputation, didn't he, as the ice cold Cole Palmer. Manchester City playing it to Shirky in the centre circle, then to Bernardo Silva, twists and turns, left-footed ball across the box, and Badiashile just got up to head it away from Erling Haaland, who was pulling away in anticipation. The Haaland goes down, but Rodri plays the ball into the box, doesn't make the pass though to Reinders. It was headed away by Achampong. Manchester City have stepped it up here. Again, Reinders turning, left side of the box, turns again, but Achampong was able to keep an eye on the ball, was able to get a touch on it and put it behind for a corner to Manchester City.
Yeah, it's good from Achampong there, the young right back, just marshalling Reinders. I'm sure he must have thought he might be up against Jeremy Doku today, but he's sort of got a midfielder in Reinders up against him 1v1, and Reinders was twisting and turning, and I'd love to see the reaction of Jeremy Doku on the bench to that. Go, hey, that's my job, I do the dribbling around here.
Yes, I was with you, I thought Doku might well start today after the way that he played when he came on at Sunderland on New Year's Day, but he's on the bench. Corner then for Manchester City. Shirky, this is a high, deep one to the back post, a stretch for it by Rodri, who was way off the ground when he made contact with that, and in the end, whether his was the final touch or not, I'm not sure, but it's certainly behind for what is given as a goal kick, and it remains 0-0. So Chelsea are just organising what they're doing with this goal kick, and you can hear the Manchester City supporters getting onto them. City did just, it's a thing to see, isn't it, when Manchester City sense that it is the time to step it up, step up the pressure, step up the pace. That's what they did, and I think this explains why Chelsea are just slowing things down.
Absolutely, just picking who starts with the ball on that goal kick, taking their time over it.
So Manchester City, who are attacking towards the end to our right, where the Chelsea supporters are, and their tiers, still not opened it's the north stand, isn't it, to our left, the new tier up there, which is is very close to completion. I walked around the stadium that way today, Izzy, just to see what it looks like outside, and the hotel there.
What are your thoughts?
Oh, hotel is massive. I couldn't believe it. I don't know how many rooms there will be in that, but plenty. So that will obviously service the football ground and the arena, which is over there as well. And when they open that top section, that's another 7,000 seats or so. So it'll be a 60,000 plus capacity here at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0. City playing it with Rodri. Rodri for Reinders on the left-hand side. Lifts it over. Haaland with a header, but headed it wide. Defender went with him. Took a deflection, I think, as well, off Badiashile, who was jumping with him. That's what Michael Oliver says. It's a corner.
Yeah, it's good play from City. Again, cutting through the Chelsea midfield very easily. And again, the two Chelsea centre-backs, Chalobah and Badiashile, they're marshalling Haaland really well. The sort of dinked ball in, floated in the air. Good jump from Haaland. Badiashile defends it well.
Yep, defended it well, because when Haaland is rising like that, not many are able to keep pace with his height. Corner then, Shirky into the near post, headed away, down and away by Chalobah, and Chelsea get there first in the shape of Cole Palmer. Palmer, though, loses it, and now it's Manchester City who attack again. Shirky, but Palmer tackles back and is fouled. And it's a free kick to Chelsea. Shirky's foul, free kick to Chelsea halfway inside their own half. Almost half an hour played, still Manchester City 0, Chelsea 0, and for...
You know what they say. Play it safe, know your place, follow the rules. They say great minds think alike. We say the greatest ones don't. Flinders University.
The plan clearly includes a little bit of slowing the game down where necessary, when the ball's out of play, just to take away the enthusiasm of City, like I mentioned earlier. But yeah, so far so good for Chelsea.
Yes, Callum McFarlane, who is wearing the Chelsea padded coat with the badge on the breast. Free kick to Manchester City halfway inside their own half. But tracksuit bottoms, trainers, he's gone casual. I think probably when you are the interim, that is the wisest course of action, isn't it?
That would be my choice as well. It's a little early to be pulling out the...
the Pep Guardiola.
Are we allowed to say brands?
Well, you've said it. Free kick for Manchester City as Rodri is challenged and Haaland is complaining, I think, about an earlier incident. Rodri's okay, that's a relief. Quickly back to his feet, doesn't need any treatment. And the free kick to Manchester City, 7 or 8 yards inside the Chelsea half, was just caught as he was stretching forward by Reece James. And I think that's what the Manchester City players are saying. I think they're saying James has committed a few fouls now.
Yeah, he's been really tenacious, really aggressive in that area of the pitch, that central role, alongside Enzo Fernandez, who's the two of them in there. You've got a similar profile in the way that they sort of really aggressive, the way they get up to the ball, they put pressure on, they win the ball back. Both really good technicians as well. Yeah,
Reece James, who's having a very good season, whether he's at right back or in midfield. With things as they are, who knows what's going to happen over the course of the coming months, but you can absolutely write him into your England World Cup squad, Reece James, as Manchester City have the ball in the central third. Here it is to Shirky on the right hand side. It did amuse me when Gabby Logan pointed out on Match of the Day that over Christmas Manchester City had scored goals through Reinders and Shirky, Reindeers and Christmas Shirky. Here is Diaz carrying the ball forward, then Gvardiol with a pass, but that rolls into the penalty area, and Jorgensen has got the ball at his feet. Pep Guardiola, classic Guardiola there. It didn't quite come off, so he stomps away, turns to his right with that sort of heavy tread, slapping his feet down on the coaching area, now arms crossed, as Chelsea played up towards the centre circle. Joao Pedro challenge, comes back for Chelsea. Shirky with a touch, taken on by Bernardo Silva. There are Chelsea defenders back. In fact, Enzo Fernandez working like mad, but Bernardo Silva's found Shirky. Now he has Rodri, lovely pass to Bernardo Silva, first time cross, headed wide in the middle by Phil Foden, and in any case the offside flag was up. I think that was probably against Bernardo Silva. It was, but again, I'm going to have to put huge plaudits onto the Chelsea back line. The way they get out in sync together as the ball goes backwards, they're right in line with each other, and the run from Bernardo Silva, he thinks he's onside, but he's not, because of how disciplined the Chelsea back four have been. Yeah, and of course they're missing Colwill with that long-term knee injury. Fofana, who's unwell, that's why he's not involved today. So it's certainly not your front liners, is it, today, with Badiashile in central defence and Achampong having
Kukurea missing today.
So Gusto playing at left back, and Manchester City getting the ball back in the central third. Morocco have won, so the hosts are through to the quarter-finals. They have beaten Tanzania by 1-0. And they will be tough to beat, but it is knockout, and we'll see what happens. And as I say, South Africa against Cameroon later. South Africa, who will be playing in the opening match of the World Cup in the Aztec Stadium in Mexico in June. Here's Bernardo Silva. June and Mexico feels like a long way away as we sit here in the Manchester cold. We're looking forward to bringing all of that World Cup action to you in 2026. Mateus Nunes with a cross from the right hand side, headed away, and Shirky couldn't bring the ball down on the edge of the penalty area. It was headed away at pace. Ball won back though by Ruben Diaz against Estevao. Pep Guardiola like that, clapping his hands above his head for that tackle by Diaz on Estevao. Now Shirky's away down the right hand side, up against Gusto, but his ball into the penalty area. He passed it straight at Reece James, who said thank you very much. And Chelsea have got it back in their own left back position, where Gusto is taking his time to clear, but he does. And then Diaz heads it forward. We'll have more reaction at half-time to the earlier games, by the way. I'll let you know in a moment who we'll be hearing from. Ball goes back to Jorgensen, and the Chelsea goalkeeper is able to pass it out. And Achampong's ball forward is onto the header. Guardiola, Manchester City come again. Still 0-0 here. Now Diaz steps forward from the halfway line. The Manchester City crowd up the volume here. They know the importance of this game. It's a real test, this, for Manchester City in this title race. And with Arsenal winning, Manchester City and their supporters know that they have to do likewise to keep pace. Aston Villa currently in between them. Arsenal 48 points, Aston Villa 42, Manchester City 41. Foden, then back to Mateus Nunes. Now here again is Bernardo Silva on the right hand side. Bernardo Silva into Mateus Nunes. Now Shirky, little dummy on the ball, but it fell to Gusto, who's able to clear it away as he fell over on the edge of his own box.
Yeah, if you split the pitch into thirds, every single player almost camped inside that end third, inside Chelsea's defensive block. It just looks like the Sunderland game. Manchester City against Sunderland, especially the second half, where Sunderland just defended so resolutely, so compact. Chelsea are just emulating that shape, and now they've got the opportunity to squeeze up the pitch and press high where they can. Yeah,
but the Etihad Stadium, even though you can hear it, not matching the sound levels of the Stadium of Light the other night, which was something else. It actually reminded me of one of those big Champions League nights. Haaland in the centre circle, just squares it to Phil Foden, then everyone's off in a sky blue shirt, tearing forward. Shirky gets it on the right hand side, but Enzo Fernandez is in on the challenge, and one of the Callum McFarlane coaching staff comes forward and claps his hands. He's enlisted the assistance of more of the Chelsea under-21 team coaching staff after the departure of everyone actually from Enzo Maresco's team, apart from Bernardo Cueva, the set piece specialist. So Andy Ross and James Simmons are on the bench tonight with Callum McFarlane and the analyst Adam Keep, as he outlined the other day. Manchester City still in possession inside the Chelsea half, and that's been the way of it for almost the entire first period. They've barely got out of their own half, Chelsea. And now Bernardo Silva twisting. Malo Gusto still going, goes for the curler, but got underneath it and sent it over the top by maybe 2.5, 3 feet.
Yeah, Gusto and Bernardo Silva dribbling at him, cutting inside, shifting the ball again onto his left, cutting back onto his right and going again onto his left, looking to work that angle inside the box. As he shifts his body shape, he looks to whip it far corner. It's actually quite far over the bar than the reaction of the crowd perhaps suggested, but it's a shot on target. Well, is it on target? No, it's not, but it's an attempt, and that has definitely lifted the crowd.
I think just the one attempt at the other end from the blocked shot from Estevao, and Achampong is dispossessed, and now it is Rodri bringing it forward, cuts it back to the edge of the penalty area, but Enzo Fernandez was able to step in against Reinders, and the ball deflected back harmlessly from a Chelsea point of view to their goalkeeper. So 0-0 it is. Less than 10 minutes to go to half-time. BBC Radio 5 Live. Listen as well if you're on the move, and in temperatures like this you'd probably be wise to be on the move via the BBC Sounds app, which if you've got a new device for Christmas, you need that for 2026. The BBC Sounds app, which is absolutely free, or at least for the price of your licence fee. And if you're
moving already, so we had to adjust in the air. Big save.
So it's another corner to Manchester City. It's still 0-0 on 5 Live. Foden, it's a deep one. Rodri and Gvardiol were together. I think they got in one another's way there. It was headed down and Chelsea were able to clear it. We're also going to hear from Keith Andrews at half-time after their excellent win at Everton by 4-2. What a season his having. His stock, if you can imagine the graph, the line is absolutely heading towards the ceiling, isn't it?
Upward trajectory, to say the least. Superb job he is doing.
And as everyone, it's almost like a rule. As Chelsea win it back, but James stepped on the ball, O'Reilly nipped in. Now Rodri across to Haaland onto his left foot, score! No, he doesn't, it hits the post and stays out. Well, it defied the laws of physics. How did that now end up in the back of the net?
Wow.
It hit the inside of the post and bounced out at a crazy angle across the face of goal and away.
I don't know how I'm expected to summarise this one, John, because the ball comes out to Haaland on the right-hand side of the box, inside right. He fixes the ball onto his left. It's the most sumptuous strike inside of the post. It just glances across the face of goal and just goes back out. The whole crowd thought that was in the back of the net.
Well, whole crowd, commentator, summariser.
All of us.
But I mean, with the trajectory of it, he hit it left footed. It was curling in. It hit the inside of the post, yet didn't hit the inside of the post and go in.
Did that fall into the file of he hit it too well?
Quite possibly. Could be one for the great glossary of football commentary. The Commentators View podcast has had a little rest over Christmas, but I might make a note of that, Izzy. As Manchester City come again through the middle. Foden back out to the right-hand side. Here's Shirky now running at Gusto, and then goes for goal. He was looking to catch out Jorgensen, but blasted it from the angle well wide of the top right corner and into the Manchester City fans, just next to the Chelsea fans. There's a line of orange and yellow jacketed stewards who've almost all got their hoods up.
খাবো কি খাবো না
They taste more fizz.
wow
Max Cola. Taste the maximum.
Absolute snood and hat central as Donnarumma passing the ball out from the back almost passed it straight to Estevao, who was 2 yards out, and now it's won back by Enzo Fernandez. James to Palmer though got the ball caught underneath his feet, and Rodri was in with the challenge. And one pass forward there from Shirky. If he'd been able to play that, Manchester City I think would have had possibly 4-on-2, 4-on-3, but it was intercepted.
Yeah, the tackle from Achipong was absolutely crucial.
Now it's Shirky through the middle, bounces off Badiashile. Reinders in the box, still Reinders, left foot, scores! High into the net, super finish, over the top of Jorgensen, and Manchester City do find the goal just before half-time. It's Reinders, and it's Manchester City 1, Chelsea 0. And Reinders scoring in a third consecutive start for Manchester City.
Well, it felt like something was coming, and Manchester City have had the best of the last 10 minutes or so in terms of chances, and Reinders, who is playing in that sort of inside left channel, finds himself in the box. The ball turns over in midfield, it's a little bit loose, but Manchester City attack really quickly. Reinders getting himself forward into a really nice little position, comes back off a Chelsea defender, he shifts it onto his left and bang, into the back of the net. Super finish from the midfielder.
Yeah, caught that beautifully on the left foot from the angle. When you hit a ball as well as that, he was up against Badiashile when it's in a flash, and you could say Jorgensen at his near post, but I don't think there's a great deal he can do about that.
No, it's one of those fast, hard finishes at the near post where the goalkeeper can get set. He has to sort of cover it, but you also have to be aware of the other side of the goal and let your defenders defend. And I must say, the Chelsea centre-backs in particular have been absolutely outstanding. But Badiashile then, he was done by Reinders.
Yes, he was. As we said, Chelsea, just with injuries in the defensive department, So Callum McFarlane's Chelsea are 1-0 down to Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, and the goals are coming for Reinders as Haaland goes down after the challenge from Reece. It's Reece James again, isn't it? Gusto and James were coming in together to make the challenge. Haaland ends up on the ground, and I think he's okay. He stayed down. Pep Guardiola has taken the opportunity to call across Phil Foden and Diaz just while Haaland is recovering from this. No, he won't need the physios, is he? And Guardiola, as a result, has used that as a little time to speak to Foden and Diaz.
Yeah, I think that from watching Foden and Guardiola, I think there's a message Guardiola's been trying to get to Foden for the last 10-15 minutes or so. I think it's something in the press, but still, just watching that challenge back from Gusto on Haaland, that was not very nice at all. It's a bit of an ankle cruncher.
Okay. Not worthy of a red. Do you think?
Possibly not, but close.
Not far off. Okay. The goal coming in the 42nd minute, incidentally. Chelsea, who have received this season 7 red cards, and that includes one to Enzo Maresca, I should point out, so one for the manager, but even so, 7 red cards this season. Do you know how many Manchester City have had red cards this season?
None.
The answer is 0.
Yeah.
Correct. Here's Haaland playing it through, 2 minutes of added time. Manchester City are looking for a second goal here. Shirky on his right foot, challenge came in on him, comes back to Reinders. Reinders flips it over the top to the right hand side. Bernardo Silva, some Manchester City fan to my left shouts, "Go on, son." But defender Gusto got there first. Don't know whether Portuguese respond to that. Go on, son.
I'm sure he's heard it many a time in Manchester.
Yes, time he's been here. Bernardo Silva, he's virtually a Mancunian now, isn't he? Been here since 2017. So 2 minutes of added time, which we're into. Manchester City leading through the Reinders goal. So that is now 5 goals for Manchester City for Reinders. And we were there commentating on the first match of the season for Manchester City when they won 4-0 at Wolves. Reinders scored on his Premier League debut, and he played so well in that match, didn't he? If you remember, Izzy.
Yeah.
And we were talking about he's going to bring goals from central midfield, but then didn't until these last few weeks. So as I say, that's 3 goals in his last 3 starts, so 3 in his last 4 appearances, and he took that one brilliantly. Shirky playing it in field to Diaz. 1-0 Manchester City. Guardiola helps it into the path of O'Reilly, opens up for him, crosses deflected behind the near post, and it is a corner to Manchester City in added time.
Just see Manchester City here. They've been, by their standards on set pieces, they haven't delivered with the most quality, and they've also been a little bit vulnerable on the transition with the pace that Chelsea have got in their side. And I think that's why Pep Guardiola's been very animated in and around these set pieces that they've had. He's been a little bit unconvinced by the way his side have dealt with the second phase. Let's have a little look at this one.
As ever, he'll be wanting more, Pep Guardiola. So a corner from the left. Shirky to take it into the 6-yard box. It was cleared away on the edge of the 6-yard area. Then Foden with a shot from, what's that, probably 14 yards out. But there were a lot of players in front of him in both colours of blue. He tried to hit it under the crossbar, but hit it over the top.
Yeah, it's a bit like a snapshot like Gabriel yesterday against Bournemouth. That sort of ball that drops in and around the box. Super finish from him, by the way, and Foden there snatching at that one, goes over the bar.
Yes, the half-time whistle goes as the goal kick is taken by Jorgensen. So yes, Pep Guardiola marches away down the tunnel. I mean, Callum McFarlane in his
games to know what type of environment it can be. The manager they have obviously is hugely experienced, and it required courage today and personality on top of all the basics that I think we do really well in the main. So yeah, pleased with the performance.
2-0 victory for Newcastle over Crystal Palace this afternoon. Captain Bruno Guimaraes scored his 7th goal of the season. Here's Eddie Howe with Mike Minor.
Eddie, that was pretty convincing by the end.
Yeah, in the end I think it was, but it was a tough game, tight game. We always knew it was going to be. Games against Crystal Palace are incredibly difficult. Very, very pleased with the players, because that game was in the balance, and too many of those types of games this season we haven't come out with a win. So to do so, back-to-back wins, puts us in a much better position.
You touched on it, the stat packs also touched on it, how trying to go back-to-back for only the second time this season, is that quite a big deal to you?
Well, it is, because we haven't done it enough. When you look back at us in the last few seasons, we've gone on winning runs, and that's made the difference ultimately where we finish. So we need to try and find a moment like that in our season if we can. It's very difficult to do in the Premier League, especially this year more than any. It's been very difficult for a lot of teams to go on those types of winning runs that elevate yourselves. Aston Villa have done it, and a couple of other teams have done it, and we haven't, and we're seeking it. So today's a step forward.
That's Eddie Howe. Middlesbrough, one of the big winners on a weather-interrupted day in the Football League. Borough thrashed Southampton 4-0 to move back up to second in the Championship table. Ipswich's game at Portsmouth was postponed. They dropped to third. Leaders Coventry's recent wobble continues. They were beaten 3-2 at Birmingham. Preston are up to fourth after winning at Bristol. City also wins for Millwall, Wrexham and Queen's Park Rangers. In League One, the top three all won. So Cardiff, the leaders, are still 3 points clear of Lincoln. Bradford 2 points further back in third. There were only 2 games in League Two. All of the 3 o'clocks were postponed. MK Dons missed the chance to move into the top 3, throwing away a 2-goal lead to draw with Chesterfield. England will resume on 211 for 3 when the second day of the 5th Ashes Test gets underway later. Joe Root and Harry Brook have so far put on 154. Coverage on Sports Extra from 10:45 tonight. Tyson Fury has announced he'll return to boxing in 2026. This brings to an end his latest spell of retirement. He last fought in December last year. That was when he was beaten for a second time by unified champion Alexander Usyk in their heavyweight rematch. And a big win in the Rugby Prem today for Leicester Tigers. Beat Saracens 36-28 at Welford Road. Adam Radwan got 2 of Leicester's 5 tries. Fly half Billy Searle pulled the strings for Leicester. That means that they move up in the table to 5th. They are 2 points behind Bristol, and Saracens are 6th, a further 4 points back. You're up to date. Lines open for 606 08085 909 693. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton with you. The other side of the second half at the Etihad with Izzy Christensen and correspondent John Murray.
Yes, and in these freezing conditions in Manchester at the Etihad Stadium, Chelsea are making Manchester City wait. Izzy, City players are out there in the freezing conditions and doing their best to stay warm. Chelsea were still waiting for them.
Yeah, I think the game management techniques are continuing off the pitch. If you just remember before, as the half-time whistle blew, the Chelsea players all assembled before leaving the pitch as one, all 11 of them, which was quite a statement really. I don't know what they were trying to sort of show, but it looked together, I must admit. And all the Manchester City players are out ready to play.
Well, the first Chelsea player who's appeared is Andre Santos, who is going to be sent on as a substitute for Estevao. He was substituted, wasn't he, at Estevao against Bournemouth on Tuesday. So whether there is something there, but that's disappointing in terms of the spectacle. Yeah. No offence to Andre Santos.
No, I'm sure he'll be ready, firing to get the nod at half-time. But yeah, Estevao kind of struggled to get in the game. I spoke about his pace. We've seen, elements of what that guy can deliver this season already in a Chelsea shirt. He's such a talent. Yeah, let's see what...
Did well under Liam Rossigna. And here he is coming on at half-time. So just about...
লাইনে না দাঁড়িয়ে জমির খাজনা হোল্ডিং ট্যাক্স এনআইডি সহ 130টির বেশি সরকারি ফি বিকাশ করুন নিশ্চিন্তে আর পেয়ে যান ডিজিটাল রিসিট মুহূর্তেই।
Rodri, his first start since October the 5th, as Andre Santos trots onto the pitch. And then Tijani Reinders and Bernardo Silva, a bit of a muscle problem, nothing serious, we are informed. At the back, Atchiampong, Chalobah, Badiashile and Gusto. Then in midfield, Andre Santos, who's just come on, Reece James, Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer, Pedro Neto and Joao Pedro. Manchester City in the sky blue shirts, of course, this season with that diagonal white stripe across the front, white shorts, sky blue socks with the dark blue tops, and Chelsea in their first choice colours, the blue shirts, the royal blue shorts and white socks, and Chelsea going back towards the edge of the penalty area. If you weren't listening in the first half, Manchester City leading through the Reinders goal shortly before half-time, the well-taken goal from him as Mateus Nunes jumps on the far side. He's up against Andre Santos. It comes in field. João Pedro plays it back. Pedro Neto is away inside the penalty area. Pedro Neto with a cross. It's deflected, and it's deflected closer to Donnarumma, who's able to grab it and pat it down and pick it up on the bounce.
Yeah, it's the speed of Pedro Neto just being released there early in the second half. It's just been a little bit of a reshuffle. Cole Palmer's come out onto the right wing, and Andre Santos has gone into their central midfield role alongside Enzo Fernandez and Reece James. Packs it out a little bit, different sort of role for Cole Palmer out on this right hand side.
Yeah, and for Andre Santos for Chelsea, a bit of extra, another body in there against, you know, all of the various talents that Manchester City have. As Jorgensen chips the ball away, but Mateus Nunes allows it to bounce. Pedro Neto, he was quiet in the first half, but there again, that's because it was a defensive first 45 minutes from Chelsea.
Yeah, it was a little, well, it was reserved performance, but now they've got to come out a little bit quicker off the blocks. I'm sure we won't see as much time wasting on the dead balls from Chelsea, and they're just getting the ball, fizzing it around a little bit. Cole Palmer almost being that free player for Chelsea to go and pop up where he wants and sort of play and be sort of snappy on the ball like we know he is.
That's Izzy Christensen, England midfielder. Chelsea in possession inside their own half on this cold night. You can feel the cold almost clinging to you as the ball is taken away by Chalobah, but then cuts back. The man in front of us has just started eating a pie. I think it's a chicken pie. And when he dug his fork into the top, the steam that came off it, I thought something was on fire in front of us. It is absolutely piping hot as James is defending the ball against his England colleague Foden. He chips it away, but Manchester City, Rodri with a touch there, but Gusto is then clattered into. Good challenge by Gvardiol, I should say, but Gvardiol has stayed down. Chelsea have got it back. Palmer takes it away from Rodri, and now it is 4 against 3. Palmer through the middle towards the edge of the penalty area, gives it to Pedro Neto, then the turn and work back. Pedro Neto it is with the shot, but he can only work it over the top, left-footed. That was the chance for Chelsea, not taken by Pedro Neto after Enzo Fernandez set it up for him. And there's Enzo Fernandez, I don't know whether somebody said something, Donnarumma towering over Enzo Fernandez. There's a little bit of pushing there, and actually João Pedro has gone across to Donnarumma, of all people, to calm him down.
It's a really good chance for Chelsea. Enzo Fernandez inside the box, real strength to fend off the challenge of Mateus Nunes. He cuts it back to Pedro Neto, and honestly, he should score. He has to score there, Pedro Neto. He stands with his hands behind his head, knowingly that needs to nestle in the back of the net. But Chelsea have got a bit more about them in the second half, a lot more zip.
And we've got a stoppage here, Izzy, because Gvardiol, who was injured in that challenge, that good tackle that he put in, but he's hurt himself. So we've got a stoppage. The conversation's still been going on with Donnarumma and some of the Chelsea players who've finally left him. Do you remember the other night, Donnarumma after the match involved with Luke O'Nien?
Yes.
In the aftermath of that match.
There was quite a lot of involvement after that.
There was a lot of involvement after that match. So Donnarumma, he's not a shrinking violet, is he?
Did you have your binoculars for that one?
What?
In Sunderland?
No, I watched it on the,
watched
it on the television.
Oh, well, maybe not then.
I watched
you
it
don't
on the
need
television.
it
I didn't need my binoculars that night.
Depends how big your living room is.
Well, yeah. It's not as big as Mark Chapman. Let's put it that way. Manchester City 1-0 up, and Gvardiol, you know, I think he's in trouble here, isn't he? He's actually walking very gingerly, and he's being helped off. He's got an arm around Reece James and an arm around one of the coaching staff, and Husanov is already ready to come on. So that's it for Gvardiol, it would seem.
Yeah, he did, when he made the tackle, he did signal straight away something, and he went down. And Manchester City actually had the chance to put the ball out, but I don't think they knew he was down injured. and then they lost the ball, and it ended up being that Chelsea chance where Pedro Neto nearly scored.
So it's the Uzbekistan international Abdukadir Husanov who is coming on, the 21-year-old. Just watching Gvardiol, who's now over the white line, and he is really struggling to walk. He is hobbling badly, and that does not look great. And it was quite an innocent challenge, that tackle that he put in on, who was it in centre field that he put the tackle in? Was it João Pedro or possibly Gusto? I can't remember what I said at the time. Anyway, he's come off worst in that, and we'll have to find out how he is later when we speak to Pep Guardiola and 606. We'll try and do that, I'm sure. 606 lines are open to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Another good win for Forest Green yesterday. Managed to get their match on. So 085 909 693 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. James put under pressure. Good pressing from City, but Rodri has hurt himself in that challenge, and actually it's yellow card for Reece James. Well, what do you make of that?
There's been quite a few of those, I must admit, late ones, and it was a really good read of play by Rodri. He just jumps in. Chelsea think they're playing out of the press really nicely, and Rodri just reads it, jumps, wins the ball, and there was a little bit of afters again from Reece James. Just watching a replay, I don't think that can be helped, to be honest with you. I think the momentum, it does look nasty, but I don't think there's any intent there from Reece James, if I'm honest.
No, I don't. Rodri was arriving. Reece James is clearing it, which he does, and he puts his foot through the ball, and then, bringing his foot down, stands on Rodri's ankle, which had landed on the ground in front of him.
It was another ankle cruncher,
it was,
I must admit, but I don't think there's any intent there from Reece James.
No.
And it's good from Rodri again. The midfield sort of reading of the play by him, committing to the high press, jumping into that sort of higher zone, wins the ball back. Man City with a free kick in a good area.
It was a good spot by Michael Oliver, and the right decision. Free kick then for Manchester City, who lead by 1-0. So they are heading on to 44 points with this. Foden takes the free kick in towards the far side of the penalty area. It was Andres Santos who got his head to it, then chased after it, cleared it away downfield, but back to Manchester City. So this win, were it to be a win, and it's fine margins at the moment, this would be 9 home Premier League wins in a row for Manchester City since losing their first league match here of the season against Tottenham, Thomas Frank's Tottenham. Manchester City can't keep the ball in with Shirky on the far side, so to throw in to Chelsea. And Callum McFarlane, the Chelsea interim coach, continues to watch on with his hands in his tracksuit bottoms pockets down there on the edge of the coaching area. This academy coach, really, that's what he is. Under 21 coach at the Chelsea Academy, as his Chelsea team come forward, and a foul by Diaz and a yellow card for Diaz as well, and then Mateus Nunes is shoving Pedro Neto, his Portuguese international teammate, over the top of João Pedro, who was the player who was blocked by Diaz, and which led to the free kick, is he?
Yeah, classic defender. If the ball goes, the player doesn't, and if the player goes, the ball doesn't. And that was a very tactical block there from Ruben Diaz. He was nutmegged by João Pedro. He just manages to sort of get his body in the way and stop him in his traps, and he's feeling the effects of that, João Pedro. He's been quite quiet in this game, I must admit, but he's a player I do admire in terms of what his capability is. I don't think he's anywhere near hit his ceiling yet.
No, just 7 goals so far this season, which does make him Chelsea's top scorer this season. 7 goals in all competitions. Chelsea are taking the free kick, but Haaland has nipped it back on the halfway line, and then the challenge comes in from Achampong as Haaland was racing away round about the edge of the penalty area. He took a little bit of a risk there, Achampong, the teenager, the 19-year-old, but made good contact, put it behind corner Manchester City.
Yeah, it's a really important recovery tackle from Achampong. Does really well, striding length, quick to get back in contention with Haaland, and it's a pretty much a last-ditch tackle.
He had to time that right, but he did. Corner to Manchester City from over there on the far side in front of the north stand. Foden to take this, curling in, comes off the head of Chalobah, who was rising tallest, and it's up and behind the near post for a second consecutive Manchester City corner. And Phil Foden recovers the ball from in front of the ever-changing hoardings, 2 rows of hoardings behind the goal there, bounces the ball, places it in the quadrant. Chelsea players all gathered together at the near post, and Enzo Fernandez is just limping in there as well, but he's okay now, walks more smoothly. So Haaland at the back post, O'Reilly's in there as well, Husanov, who's just come on, there's wrestling going on. Foden takes it in towards the back post, and it's headed up and into the gloves of Jorgensen by Ruben Dias, who arrived onto it twisting but didn't really get any power on it. It was a loopy header goalwards, wasn't it, really, and a catch from the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I actually thought Ruben Dias maybe could have got a little bit more purchase on that header, but I think the trajectory of the ball might have lost it a little bit in the air. It was a good catch by Jorgensen. Very routine goalkeeping.
Manchester City 1, Chelsea 0. Lines open for 6:06, which will be on the air at round about 7:30 tonight, as Cole Palmer fouls Phil Foden, not for the first time. That's a free kick to Manchester City. So 08085 909 693, which is free to call from mobiles and landlines. You can text 85058 at your standard message rate, or get in touch, hashtag BBC 606. City take this free kick. O'Reilly goes back towards the edge of the penalty area. Sunday night, so there will be a match of the day tonight. Gabby Logan will have Gary O'Neill in the studio with Shea Given this evening, so that's BBC One tonight, or watch it anytime on the iPlayer. Just dropped my pen on the floor as Manchester City have Haaland breaking away from the centre circle. Haaland goes round Chalobah, still going into the box, but Chelsea defenders were there and were able to block it. There were 2 of them together. Gusto was one of them. Badiashile was in there as well, but that was typical Erling Haaland, bulling a China shot, just barging his way through with one of those powerful runs where you think, can anyone actually stop him?
Well, not when he's running at that speed. Picks the ball up just shy of the halfway line. He just runs direct through the Chelsea defence, tries to shift it onto his left foot, and a really good covering defensive challenge from Badiashile. He's patient, he stands and he blocks the ball. And that was net bound for sure from Haaland.
It was, so a good block by Chelsea. Manchester City back into their own half. You just sometimes see it's like something out one of the Marvel films, isn't it? When he's rampaging like this, he's crushing everything in his path. But Chelsea were able to stop him in his tracks. Manchester City leading Chelsea by 1-0. Not my favourite genre of films, is it? Shirky playing it over the top. Reinders has got away into the penalty area. Chelsea defenders back. Reinders across. Shirky now, but in comes the challenge from James, who got a little bit of the ball, I think. Michael Oliver was right there in a great position and was absolutely unmoved. And even though the Manchester City supporters, you can hear them, they're booing now, they think it should have been a penalty. I don't see too many of the Manchester City players saying much to Michael Oliver about that, and indeed I think he's motioning there that he did get the ball.
Yeah, it's not a foul. It's not a foul. It's a really good, again, another last-ditch challenge from a Chelsea player, Reece James this time. They just release Reinders again down that left-hand side. The game's open up a lot now, which means there's a lot more space for Man City to play into, like Haaland, like Reinders, but it also means Chelsea can also pose a big threat on the transitions.
João Pedro is calling for it. Neto, actually, though, beg your pardon, ball is swung all the way across from the left-hand side from Enzo Fernandez to Neto. Takes it down and then wins a throw-in for Chelsea off Reinders. There's movement for Chelsea. I think a change is in the offing. They've already brought on Andres Santos. Manchester City leading by 1-0. Jorgensen passing the ball out to Andres Santos. Andres Santos still going. Rodri trying to keep pace with him. Gives it to Enzo Fernandez on the overlap there down the left-hand side. Manchester City defend that well, actually. As the run came, we're going to see Liam Delap coming on, and Jarrell Harto as well, who's coming back from injury, so it's going to be a double change, is he? Palmer's ready to take this corner for Chelsea.
Yeah, a lot of power coming off the bench for Chelsea here. Delap in particular. It'd be interesting to see what Callum McFarlane's seeing in terms of the game, as to which personnel he's going to bring off.
In fact, the Palmer has left the corner to be taken over there on the far side by Reece James, who was trying to whip up the Chelsea fans. James gets it back. His cross, though, is hooked away by Haaland. But the offside flag is up, and it's a free kick to Manchester City, deep in their own defensive third. Well, Reece James has managed to whip up the Chelsea fans. It's them making the noise. So here comes Liam Delap, the former Manchester City youngster. Remember, another one like Cole Palmer. So he is coming on. João Pedro off, and Josh Achampong also coming off, with Harto coming on.
Yeah, it's like for like in terms of João Pedro and Delap, two sort of focal points in that number 9 position for Chelsea. And I think Achampong's been fantastic. I think he's looked really aggressive. A couple of times, a few little mistakes, but not necessarily mistakes, but just out of sync. But big task now for Haito to come back in.
Yeah, Harto has had an injury. Last time he played was in the Carabao Cup against Cardiff. What was an atmospheric night at the Cardiff City Stadium. Started that match. So he comes on, so Gusto has come across to right back as Manchester City play forward, and Jorgensen, oh my goodness, plays it across the back line. Santos needed to come in there and help out Harto, who'd just come onto the field and was almost caught out there. However, Haaland now for Manchester City, he shoots, that's blocked on the edge of the area. Reinders nods it forward, and that is going to be shepherded behind by Chalobah. Still 1-0 Manchester City, Izzy Christiansen.
Yeah, there's another chance there for City. Jorgensen there with a bit of an erratic clearance there, just putting his defenders under pressure. Man City high press again, win the ball back, and they just don't punish Chelsea like they know they can. I just wonder whether Pep Guardiola might turn to Jeremy Doku, with Hato coming on at that left back.
Oh, given away by Chelsea. Shirky into the box, but Chelsea still had defenders there, and Badiashile was able to block the attempted cross. That was careless. Chelsea cannot afford errors. If they concede a second goal now, you would think that would be it. It would be a Manchester City win, but at 1-0, it's in the balance, as he has Delap into the action for the first time, then plays the return pass for Neto to attempt to run onto, but Husanov comes over and is able to pass it out of play. If you remember, Husanov made his debut for Manchester City here last season, last January, against Chelsea, and had an absolute nightmare. And he gave away the first goal and was substituted early in the second half. But he's grown into the role. Chelsea coming forward. James with the cross, it's over to Lap, and Neto can't get there. Just kept in. Is it? No, it's not kept in on the far side. And it is a goal kick to Manchester City, but we're seeing more from Chelsea just now.
Yeah, just starting to turn the screw a little bit. Just interestingly, that sort of recovery tackle from Kusanov, that is him at his very best. He's so quick. He doesn't often get into those foot races because of how high they defend, but my word, when he gets going, he can run.
Yes, Husanov, who is just 21 years old. All being well, he'll be going to the World Cup. It was Uzbekistan's first World Cup. And for those who haven't clocked it, their manager is Fabio Cannavaro. So what a man for Husanov to work with as his coach, one of the great central defenders. Ball is back with Jorgensen on the edge of the penalty area. Manchester City 1, Chelsea 0. So Delap up front, didn't really see much from João Pedro, but in the time that he was on the field, it was a rear guard exercise from Manchester City. So Delap onto the field, who's had his injury problems this season, just the one goal so far that he has scored. Good one though, against Barcelona. That's not a bad one to have on your resume, but still waiting for his first Premier League goal for Chelsea. Foden with a flick, and Chalobah with hands on the back of Reinders, but no free kick, and Chalobah plays it all the way back to Jorgensen, who will clear from the ground across field. Harto is going to miscontrol that out of play for a throw-in to Manchester City, and the home supporters let him know about it. 25 minutes to go, is he?
Yeah, much better from Jorgensen there, his distribution out to Harto, who Yes, he miscontrolled it, but the pass was excellent from Jorgensen. Man City just going high press. Haaland trying to shut off half the pitch with his line of pressure. And Jorgensen dealt with it really well.
Manchester City with Mateus Nunes, who turns and plays it all the way back to goalkeeper Donnarumma, who is being closed down, but just waits until Pedro Neto arrives and then gives it to Husanov, playing as the left-sided central defender. His long pass for Bernardo Silva, but Andres Santos was able to win that challenge. Comes back to Jorgensen, who will pass it out to Badiashile on the edge of his own penalty area. Can see Badiashile puffing away his breath on the cold Manchester air. Jorgensen back out towards the left-hand side. Harto back to his goalkeeper, then long from the goalkeeper up towards Delap, who's in what looks like an extremely tight, short-sleeved Chelsea shirt. Delap does well, carries it forward, gives it to Neto inside the penalty area, but Neto just got it caught up underneath his feet. Still Neto all the way across here to Gusto, now over at his more favoured right back position, joining in and helping the attack, but O'Reilly's got a touch on that to clear it partially away for Manchester City, but Reece James is able to arrive on the scene. The Chelsea captain just standing in front of the interim head coach Callum McFarlane, and Chelsea start again from the centre circle and actually go all the way back into their own half. So 606 waiting for your calls. 085 909 693. Delap bringing it forward, bounces back to him as the challengers come in on him, and in the end actually Bernardo Silva was well placed, having put in an initial challenge. As it rolled to him, he was able to stop it, get up and take it away, and then give it to Shirky. Haaland waits in the middle. Erling Haaland, who's on 149 goals for Manchester City. Doku is coming on, is he? Next time they get a chance with a quarter of the match to play.
I think there's a deep discussion going on though as to who is going to make way for Jeremy Doku. Very interested to see which number goes up.
Well, you'd think the likelihood would be Reinders, wouldn't you?
Positionally, yeah, but I think that Bernardo Silva's starting to look a little fatigued, possibly Cherky. Foden perhaps, I don't know, we'll see.
I think we've thrown them all in there, haven't we?
We have. Donnarumma.
Yeah. Here's O'Reilly going back to Husanov, and the ball is played all the way back to Donnarumma. More live sport coming tonight on Sports Extra. The NFL, which is getting to the sharp end. New England against Miami Dolphins will be on Sports Extra from 9 o'clock this evening on your BBC Sounds app. City playing it forward. Shirky has got away from Harto and then squares it. Bernardo Silva wasn't able to arrive on it because the sliding challenge came in the nick of time from Harto, actually it was, who was tackling back inside the box on Bernardo Silva to snuff out the danger.
Yeah, super recovering tackle again from Harto. Cherky really, really good, striding into the box. The ball he cuts back is a little bit behind Bernardo Silva, which maybe allows the recovering challenge to happen, but I think you are correct, John, with who's coming off.
Well, that is positionally, isn't it? Reinders, who has been playing more as the man over towards the left-hand side. So Doku coming on again, and as we said, the two of us were kind of expecting Doku to be in the starting lineup, but he has just come back from an injury. He'd had 4 matches out before the Sunderland game, so they're just easing him back. But if he shows as much as he did on Tuesday, on New Year's Day night, and Pep Guardiola shows his appreciation there for Reinders, who's scored the only goal, his 5th for Manchester City. There's a hug for him before he disappears to get one of those big coats to sit on the bench, and Doku was on.
Yeah, I think Guardiola's just waited to make substitutions. Of course, Doku, especially the City fans, they'd like to have seen Doku on the pitch earlier, but I think he sort of waited for Callum McFarlane to sort of show his cards a little bit with his changes. And then now you've got Doku up against Malo Gusto, who's moved over to his preferred right-back position. It'll almost be like they'll cancel each other out, which is a good asset for Manchester City as Chelsea push on to find an equaliser.
Manchester City 1, Chelsea 0 is the score. 5 Live from the BBC. Here is Doku for the first time, plays it past Chalobah, but the cover was there from Reece James, who's able to roll it back with his right foot to Jorgensen. Diaz stoops forward, heads it back into the Chelsea half. Doku now battling for it with gusto, out of play, throw into Manchester City. Yes, 08 085 909 693 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. If you're at any of the games earlier on this afternoon, you'll be back in your warm cars now, no doubt. They'll want to hear from you, certainly, those quotes that we heard again from Ruben Amorim at half-time. Manchester United fans, what do you make of that? As O'Reilly now, Foden takes it on, but as he looked to cut it back, passed it straight to James, and Chelsea are able to clear and counter-attack. Nice touch from Delap, Enzo Fernandez. Here's Pedro Neto on the left-hand side. Chelsea with players pouring forward. Pedro Neto, but City have got defenders back now as well. Harto's joined the attack, and actually it's gone backwards for Chelsea to Santos. Now out towards the left-hand side again. Ball into the penalty area. Delap as well. Shoots goalwards, and it's blocked by the body of Donnarumma. Good save, actually. The angle was tight. Shot straight at the Manchester City goalkeeper who made the save, Delap.
Yeah, Delap's been excellent. He's only been on the pitch 5 to 10 minutes, and he's already made a really good impact. And that was again another moment. Really good recovering tackle from Kusanov that sort of spills the ball, deflects it into the path of Donnarumma, makes the save easier, but another big chance for Chelsea.
Yes, he's playing catch-up, isn't he, really, Delap, because of the injury that he's had this season. So this is his 14th appearance, 7 starts in all competitions. This is the 7th time he's come off the bench, and as I say, just the 1 goal so far. But he's looked good so far, I must say. He's been a presence, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's looked really good, linking play, dropping in, running in behind. Looked really active.
Palmer loses out centre field. Ball passed forward by Shirky to Doku. Doku now. Doku inside the penalty area. Chelsea with 2 men there. Takes on Chalobah. Doku pulls it across, but there's no one there in sky blue. Reece James again, the player on the end of that cutback from Doku, as Gusto holds it up against Bernardo Silva, who's been able to keep it in even though he was down on the ground, and he worked it to Doku, and now it's Doku against Chalobah again. Still Doku in the area, looks to shoot, but it's blocked by Chalobah, and such was the ferocity of the shot that it very nearly set Chelsea away on a counter-attack. But City are back in possession in the central third of the field. But Doku already causing problems, is he?
Yeah, really. You know, that's exactly what Guardiola's instructing the players to do, is to feed it out here to the left-hand side for Doku. And that little tackle from Bernardo Silva, by the way, was very unorthodox, but it was so clever. The way he kind of spilled the ball into the path of Doku in motion while he was on the floor on the edge of the pitch. Very impressive. Yes,
it was excellent improvisation, wasn't it, from Bernardo Silva. Nathan Ake is going to come on. He started against Sunderland, which was only his 2nd Premier League start of the season, and did have a little bit of a knee issue. But all of these players are thinking about the World Cup. He needs starts. Ake, talented Dutch squad that Ronald Koeman has, as Manchester City win a free kick in the central third of the field. Next weekend we will be bringing you all of the thrills and spills of the FA Cup 3rd round. The commentaries start on Friday night. Wrexham against Nottingham Forest from 7:30. I'm going to be at Macclesfield, Izzy, on Saturday lunchtime for what looks like an excellent tie between Macclesfield and the holders, Crystal Palace. So don't miss that, 12:15 on Saturday, but we'll have it all covered for you over the course of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and this coming Wednesday night, big night of Premier League action, and around the grounds programme on 5 Live Sport from 7 o'clock. 1-0 to Manchester City here, so Manchester City would be going back second above Aston Villa. The Chelsea are in this. However, Doku with a long pass forward for Foden. Foden looking to feed Haaland in the middle, sees his pass intercepted by the recovering Badiashile, who, without breaking stride, put it behind for a corner.
Yeah, it was almost the inevitable. Space has opened up. Doku drops deep. Foden, excellent forward run. Doku just feeds it into the path of him. Foden just looks to square it to Haaland for a tap-in. Badiashile reads it really well. Comes across, blocks it for a corner. That just felt inevitable.
It did. However, it wasn't. 15 minutes to go, plus added time. Corner to Manchester City. Shirky to take this. Haaland leaning on Enzo Fernandez. In it goes towards the back post where it's headed up and away, and then further away by Palmer on the edge of the area after the initial header was won by Pedro Neto. Haaland battling for it, still on the edge of the area. Comes down to Foden. Foden gives it to his left to Shirky. Oh, lovely little piece of footwork from him. Shoots. That's blocked by Chalobah and then cleared away. Enzo Fernandez, and there's an offside in there somewhere, so it's a free kick to Chelsea.
It was like pinball in there. Lots of bouncing balls, high feet, players being brave, dropping their head at the ball.
And Chelsea have taken this free kick from the wrong place. South Africa, Cameroon will be getting underway at the Africa Cup of Nations before long. Morocco already through today, winning 1-0 against Tanzania. There's going to be selected commentaries on the latter stages of that on the World Service, but only if you're listening in Sub-Saharan Africa. So if that applies to you, then listen out for that if you're on your travels. Pedro Neto and then Andre Santos, then it's up to Delap, then Cole Palmer plays it over the top. Pedro Neto's continued his run down into the full-back position. Husanov comes across. Palmer is still there in support. This is all still on the left wing. Now Enzo Fernandez gets the ball to his feet, 25 yards out, tried to curl it into the box. It was blocked by Rodri. Chelsea in possession, asking questions of Manchester City. Neto's been much brighter in the second half, but Chelsea couldn't have been less a feature in an attacking sense in the first 45 minutes. Doku skips away from a challenge, still inside his own territory. Then Rodri takes it over, but his diagonal pass is headed down by Gusto. A little bit of nervousness now for the Manchester City supporters, because I think they can sense that Chelsea probably have a goal in them. Palmer playing it forward towards Delap. Husanov comes across, excellently defended, and sees it behind as well against Delap, who then leans into Husanov, who goes slipping away off the perimeter of the pitch, down the little slope that's there. So in time-honoured style, Manchester City's defenders come to the aid of their teammate, and there's a lot of pushing and shoving, and the players have all now gone down that slope. And Donnarumma's got involved as well. Delap's got back onto his feet, but still, Husanov is still down on the ground, and we've now got a collection of probably 7 or 8 players who are off the field, and eventually the Chelsea players, as one, move away from that, and Manchester City's players are left just checking on the wellness of Husanov, who defended that brilliantly against Delap.
It was an outstanding bit of defending again. There's been some really good defensive moments from both sides in this game, but Husanov, obviously, who came on for the injured Gvardiol, that recovering tackle on Liam Delap, who got booked for pushing Husanov into the advertising board, and luckily Husanov is okay, and Liam Delap was receiving a lot of pressure there from the Man City players surrounding him, just sort of saying to him that's out of order, mate.
Yeah, they were already off the field together, and he manhandled him, didn't he? Down onto the part where the pitch drops away off the playing surface, and that meant he slipped down there and collided with the hoardings. And I presume is that him now who is down? There is a player down.
It's either him or Diaz. Husanov, no, it's Diaz, I think, receiving a bit of treatment.
Okay.
Husanov is by the post over there. You can just see him in the far distance.
Yeah. But it was a good contest, that, wasn't it? 2 well-built young men, Delap and Husanov. Ake is still waiting to come on, and this might be where they make the change. So what have we got? 10 minutes to go. Still 1-0. It's not been a classic, has it? But it's been very interesting. It's been an interesting watch. Yeah,
it's not been a classic at all, but it is precariously poised, I'd say, right now, because it feels like Chelsea are starting to gather a little bit of momentum, and it comes in the introduction of Liam Delap. I think he's been outstanding in that introduction. It's just a little stoppage, not quite sure what for, but... Well,
the player is stood. Diaz is still down. Ruben Diaz receiving treatment. So, Mateus Nunes was also booked by Michael Oliver there. So 1-0 Manchester City. As I say, lines open for 606 08 085 909 693. Match of the day tonight, anytime on the iPlayer. Search Football Daily on BBC Sounds app for obviously the Football Daily, rounding up all of the events this weekend on BBC Sounds app, where you can rewind, pause the live radio and also listen again. And I would recommend to you Colin Murray's great football songbook this morning, which was Liverpool. So 10:30 this morning on 5 Live. You will enjoy that. And that's going to be it for Diaz, is he? Yeah. He's leaving the field and Ake is coming on to replace him. So they've already lost Gvardiol. And Diaz, I think he is going to take his seat up in the dugout. So one would say from that maybe it's not too serious.
Yeah, it's never ideal to change your centre-back partnership within a game, but I think it's been forced on Guardiola.
It has, so Ake is on. Foden now running from deep, playing it through into the box, but the defenders got in the way of the run of Haaland and made sure that goalkeeper Jorgensen was able to come out and slide and gather that. And as Haaland ran through and off the pitch, he kicked away a water bottle in frustration.
The amount of chances that Manchester City have created from the ball just being loose or breaking in midfield has been a lot. And there was a lot of frustration off that chance there, because Cherki was open to Foden's right-hand side, and he certainly made Foden know that he was available after that attack broke down, and I think Guardiola did as well.
Here's Delap, miscontrols it, out of play. The City supporters have enjoyed that. Former Manchester City youngster, but now he's one of the enemy. Throw in, O'Reilly is going to take this just down in front of us to Doku. Doku is up against Chalobah. Doku wins it back from James. Now Foden in a tight area, played it past James, but Gusto was there. Palmer now forward towards Neto. Enzo Fernandez. City have got plenty of bodies centre field, so he allows Enzo Fernandez, has to wait for Harto, and now Manchester City are back in position again, leading by that. Reinders goal shortly before half-time. Well taken goal. You'll be able to see that new this season at the weekends, 8 o'clock. All of the Premier League clips, the goals, you can see on the BBC platforms. So look out for that. Well hit with his left foot, flashed past Jorgensen. Chelsea with the ball on the edge of their own penalty area. Back to Jorgensen again, who chips it out to Harto, who almost goes down onto one knee as he chests that down. Plays it back to Badiashile. Chelsea with 6 minutes to go. And Callum McFarlane watching on the edge of the coaching area as Rodri is leaned into by Palmer. Wins the free kick against his former teammate. Rodri then passes it over the halfway line. Now back to O'Reilly, and then O'Reilly back to Nathan Ake. So City, who've had some handsome wins in this run of 8 consecutive home Premier League victories. The aggregate 25-4 in those matches. But this, they've really had to work for this, like they did at Sunderland on New Year's Day. Here is Rodri now. I wonder if he's feeling it, having started for the first time since October the 5th. Then up to Cherki. Now Foden. He passes it to Doku. Doku is tangling with Neto, but he's got away from him. Gives it to Foden, 25 yards out. Foden, Enzo Fernandez comes in. Mateus Nunes takes it up. One or two people shout, shoot. Then Erling Haaland. Then the pass forward is blocked on the edge of the penalty area, and it bounces back towards the halfway line. In the main, Chelsea have defended it well, haven't they, today?
Yeah, they have. They've been really compact. I think there's been times, probably in the midfield, where I think Manchester City have just cut through a little bit too easily. But this is one of the best teams in Europe at building up from the back, and here they are again. Manchester City they're so clean on the ball. The way they move the ball through the thirds, it is a joy to watch. It really is. And
then Chalobah putting a challenge in, just a shove from behind on Doku. That's a free kick to Manchester City inside their own half. As I say, the NFL is on Sports Extra, but then the test match will take over and an earlier start, so the NFL will move across to Sports Extra 2 and the 5th test, which for the rest of this test match, in case you haven't heard this today, play will start at 11 o'clock, so 11 o'clock with Root and Brook resuming for England on the second day in Sydney, Test match special. Here's Gusto, James still going. O'Reilly in with a challenge, but the referee's brought it back for an earlier challenge. Pep Guardiola, frustrated, turns away, then turns back to the pitch, claps his hands together. There's plumes of his breath appearing on the air. Chelsea take the free kick. There is that little bit of nervousness in the air. Arsenal supporters will be following this, listening to it wherever they are, desperately hoping for a Chelsea equaliser. You don't often say that. Ball bounces back out of play for a throw into Chelsea. Then Badiashile is able to see it back to goalkeeper Jorgensen again. Chalobah just drags it back. Foden forces him to pass it to his left to the Chelsea goalkeeper, who again chips it out to Harto there. Takes the ball down on his left instep, the former Ajax man. Chelsea still not out of their defensive third. Now up it goes towards Pedro Neto, but he is dispossessed. Good tackle in there by Rodri. Now on the right hand side for Manchester City with Shirky against Harto. Lovely footwork again from him, but it ran away from him in the end. Harto got a sight on it. Nicely played from Harto, passing it between two City players inside his own penalty area. He had to get that absolutely right, but he did. And then Enzo Fernandez gets it absolutely wrong on the halfway line and passes it straight out of play for a Manchester City throw. Yeah. Still Pep Guardiola's team lead 1-0.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola knows he wants that second goal, and there's been so many chances where Manchester City have got in and around those wide areas looking to sort of work the ball into the box, and the longer they take to cross it, the more time it gives Chelsea defenders and midfielders to get back into the box and flood it and increase their chances of defending the moment.
Manchester City will play here again on Wednesday night, on that night of busy Premier League football. They play Brighton, whereas Chelsea go to Fulham for the West London derby, so that will be covered on Wednesday. Manchester City win it back with Shirky on the halfway line. Shirky now running at the Chelsea defence. Gusto in with a tackle on Phil Foden just outside the D. That was important. That was well read by the Chelsea fullback. City come again. O'Reilly taps it to Doku, but Chelsea are back. They are back in position. Rodri, as Delap arrives, he drags it back, plays it to Mateus Nunes. Now here's Shirky again against Harto. The ball moving at his feet, then comes infield on his left foot. Shirky lifts it over the top for Haaland, but he's got too much on that and it just bounces through to goalkeeper Jorgensen again.
Yeah, just been that final pass for Man City today. I just feel like, you don't often say it, but they just got it not wrong, but just sort of run away from the player that's running onto the ball, or whatever the attacking moment is. They just haven't looked as fluid as they normally do. I thought they moved the ball against Sunderland so well in the final third, and Sunderland obviously defended so resolutely, but Chelsea, I think they've got away with quite a lot here, but the door is still very much ajar for them to get back into this game. They just need one chance, don't they?
Yeah, they do. In the last 2 minutes of the 90, James back to Chalobah again, and the Manchester City supporters get a little bit of a chant going here. I think there's been too much nervousness from them in the second half. James passing it to Cole Palmer. Palmer controls, then he sends the ball rolling through to Delap. Gusto infield to Palmer, looks infield, Enzo Fernandez. Now Pedro Neto on the edge of the area, but just miscontrolled it there, so the moment had gone. Still Chelsea in possession. Enzo Fernandez exchanges passes with Palmer. Now Pedro Neto is peeled right away out towards the left-hand side. Harto's involved. Harto's ball across. Palmer missed it actually at the near post. Although in saying that, it very nearly ran to Delap, but City had the players in the right places, were able to block it. Donnarumma's overarmed it out, but he's given possession back to Chelsea. Gusto on the right-hand side in the full-back position, tried to flick it in between two City players. Foden got a touch on that. Doku is challenged by Gusto, and the ball is out of play for a throw-in to Manchester City, who continue to lead 1-0. This will be enough, but it's a nervy one.
Yeah, it is nervy last few minutes for Man City fans in particular. And I just think that Donnarumma there, when he claimed the ball, he got the signal from his manager to play and try and release Doku down this left-hand side. The throw-in was intercepted by Gusto, and it gave Chelsea the incentive to just attack again.
This is the first match of the second half of the Premier League season for these sides. Manchester City will move to within 4 points of Arsenal again, but Chelsea have won a free kick 10 yards inside the Manchester City half. Manchester City drop back into position. So 6 minutes of added time have just been signalled. That sent a little rumble around the stadium, hasn't it? Ooh, six. James curls it in. Donnarumma is able to catch that. Comes forward with his gloves, fingers pointing towards the air, catches the ball, and then Bernardo Silva passing it to Doku. Chelsea have to get back now. Doku takes it down the left wing. James leans into him, and that is out of play for what is given only as a throw-in to Chelsea. Reece James, who is on a yellow card, and then Enzo Fernandez in it with a challenge, comes back for Shirky just outside the Chelsea box. Good tackle by Harto, and that runs to Pedro Neto. Neto forward towards Delap, and Husanov slides in with a challenge which got the ball and put it out of play for a throw-in to Chelsea that Delap himself will take. Back to Harto. That was decisive from Husanov.
It was decisive, but it was also very close to being a very erratic challenge that would have put his team in a lot of trouble. And then just banked up again, Manchester City. Bernardo Silva, he has run his socks off today.
Reece James with a long pass, inviting Gusto to run down into the full-back position, and he's just miscontrolled that. I think he got his boot caught in the turf, actually. Maybe twisted something. Maybe twisted his pride as it bounced off him and out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, and that's just taken a little bit of wind out of the sails of Chelsea. It just gives Man City the chance to let the clock tick a little.
This is absolute classic jousting for the title sort of win, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, Arsenal have had a few of these recently. Now it's Manchester City who are having one of these. Manchester City, they've still got to welcome Arsenal here. That is well into April, actually, when Manchester City play Arsenal. The weekend of the 18th of 19th of April. Interestingly, Manchester City's last match of the season is at home to Aston Villa.
Interesting.
And normally the old fixture computer with the random selection, just the way it works, very often the biggest teams don't play each other on the final weekend of the season. As Manchester City win the ball back, chipped in field towards Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva then, as he tried to play it forward, Chelsea win it back. Then there's a blatant tug on Neto, which pulled him off it, on Andre Santos, which pulled him off his feet. So that was an automatic and instant yellow card, which is given against Bernardo Silva for that, and a free kick to Chelsea.
Yeah, this is just another chance for Chelsea. Looks like they're just going to play short. Yeah, Cole Palmer in and around the ball, looking to dictate the rhythm.
6 minutes of added time. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton are waiting for your calls on 08 085 909 693. Gusto does well down the right hand side, takes it away from Murray. His cross in, and in the 6-yard box, Enzo Fernandez stabs it in. He's found the equaliser for Chelsea. Manchester City are pegged back. Excellent play, Chelsea. And Callum McFarlane down on the side of the pitch celebrates with his coaches and claps his hands. That is a blow for Manchester City. Enzo Fernandez got a second bite at it, and from 2 yards out stabbed it in. It's Manchester City 1, Chelsea 1 in added time.
Yeah, they just needed that one moment. Chelsea, they still believed, and they got it. It was the one. One from, it just gets completely evaded. The ball in from Gusto is outstanding. It's just a little look to see if he's offside. He isn't. He gets a second bite at the cherry. Donnarumma's almost there, but he stabs it into the empty net, and that's a huge goal for Chelsea.
It was 3 bites at it, because he had an initial touch that Donnarumma blocked. Then it came back to him, he stabbed it into the goalkeeper again, then it came back to him, and third time he was able to force it over the line. VAR are having a look at a possible offside, and it was tight as the ball was played in. Delap and I think Palmer were in the middle. Whether they were onside is very close. Unlike you, Izzy, my feeling was that they were onside,
Yeah.
but it's close.
Initial thought, same, onside, but you never know what these lines could look like. It was close.
Well, we heard this, didn't we, when we were listening to Mark Schwarzer and Ian Dennis earlier. There was a similar sort of incident, which was Liverpool's first goal, wasn't it?
That's right.
And Enzo Fernandez has been booked, presumably for his celebration in the middle of all that. I don't know whether he goaded Donnarumma, entirely possible. And we're waiting now. Chelsea's player Pedro Neto is saying to Michael Oliver, come on, give the goal, let's get on with it. The players are set. There it is, the goal's confirmed. Chelsea cheers here, and Manchester City are pegged back by Chelsea, who've done Arsenal a favour.
I was just going to say
themselves.
that the Arsenal fans must be absolutely delighted, because the reaction of these Manchester City players and fans inside the stadium, they know that the stage we're at in the season, this is a huge dropped point moment if they don't find a winner now.
Yeah,
they've had chances as well.
They've had chances after 8 consecutive home Premier League wins. Looks as though it might be a point apiece here with Chelsea under the temporary management of Callum McFarlane. Pep Guardiola trying to raise his players, but we're already into the 7th minute of added time. Only 6 were indicated, but of course we've had the goal, we've had a delay for VAR, we've had the celebrations, so we might have another couple of minutes yet for Manchester City perhaps to try and do what Fulham did and score in added time after Liverpool in our earlier commentary at 3 o'clock. Here's Palmer on the right hand side. Chelsea thinking about winning a Palmer's ball across is into the path of Rodri, sweeps it downfield, headed forwards again. Here is the Chelsea goal scorer Enzo Fernandez, who gets away inside the penalty area, shoots across, took a deflection, but that carried it into the path of Donnarumma, who is able to drop on it. Real nervousness now from Manchester City. As it is, with this scoreline, they would be going back second above Aston Villa on goal difference, but Arsenal would have a 6-point lead tonight. Ake, forward for Doku, still we play, whacked away downfield by the right boot of Chalobah. Then Ake is in on the challenge, goes to ground against Pedro Neto, but as he sent it forward, it drifted out of play, and it's a throw-in to Chelsea.
There was no appeal there from Ake. It looked like Pedro Neto maybe caught him late, but this is a huge couple of points drop for Manchester City, given the dominance and the chances they've had in the game. Guardiola's reaction to that goal being scored by Chelsea told you everything you needed to know about the context and how he must feel about that.
Palmer sprays the ball into the centre circle to Enzo Fernandez, who's certainly fired up here, fired up against Shirky. Manchester City come out with the ball. Haaland heads it back to Shirky. This might be the last chance. Manchester City with it on the right hand side with Bernardo Silva. Gets the cross in, but it lands on the roof of the net, and that is it. That's the final whistle. And Manchester City's players, well, down, hands on knees. One of them has dropped onto the pitch on his back. And down to our right, Callum McFarlane shakes hands with Pep Guardiola, the interim head coach. 3 days after Enzo Maresca's departure, Callum McFarlane has brought Chelsea here, and he's got a point with that late goal from Enzo Fernandez. And for Manchester City in 2026, a draw at Sunderland, and now another draw against Chelsea here at the Etihad Stadium.
Yeah, 2 very frustrating games to open up the year for Manchester City. I think the Sunderland game, so many chances, and Sunderland were fantastic. In this game here, they completely dominant, but Chelsea just kept chipping away. It's like they just didn't stop believing they would find that goal, and it came late, but they deserved it for their endeavour, absolutely. But Manchester City will be so frustrated by that, because they were so dominant, so many chances, but just couldn't find that second goal.
What we're seeing at the moment is classic jousting for the title mid-season, isn't it?
Absolutely, because now you look at that gap, it's now 6-point gap, is it, between Manchester City and Arsenal, and that's a substantial gap. If you look at the way Arsenal are performing, they do not look for one moment like they're going to let up. They look so powerful, so dominant. And Manchester City, I know they're struggling with the amount of fit first team players available. You could see that today again. Graduel going off, Diaz going off, and now they're becoming, their squad is looking relatively thin to go into the next block of fixtures, and the games are coming thick and fast. They play Brighton here on Wednesday night, and another tough game.
Yes, they've both got Carabao Cup semi-final matches as well to come this month, so those injuries to Gvardiol particularly and Ruben Dias, we'll find out about them when Gary Flintoff speaks to Pep Guardiola and indeed to Callum McFarlane. Be interested to hear what he's got to say for himself after this, so you'll
forward here for the Cameroonians. Brian Mbeumo preparing to send in a delivery. Does come in, which will be